Here is a depiction of how fast the shuttle would get from Perth to Sydney. It never actually goes on a trajectory of this particular nature because it's launched from Cape Canaveral over there, which is nearest to the equator. Then it usually takes an equatorial type of an orbit, deviating by 20 degrees twice per day. 23 degrees, as a matter of fact, which is the axial tilt of the Earth, twice per day. So you get a kind of a sine wave type of thing. So there's Perth under there. Our altitude, as you can see down there, is 528 kilometres, which is the orbital height. The sky should, of course, be black with stars in it at this point. I've switched off all the clouds because that occludes everything and you can't see what the hell's going on. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk for the entire bloody time. It's just interesting. It's interesting how dry the continent looks, and yet when you're on the ground in all these areas, especially ones like that, how green and lush it looks. But all this stuff, this is just as murderously dangerous to excur into. Anyway, coming over to the Great Australian Bight here. I've got the ocean surface image switched off so that you can see the continental shelf. You can place your cursor over there. Now down there, elevation, that means that's 5,500 meters deep, which is around about 16,000 feet deep is the ocean in that particular part where the mouse is at the moment. Going over Fremantle, I'm sure, at around about the moment. Ceduna, other sorts of things. I can't look around, which is a bloody nuisance in this new version of Google Earth. This is just amazing. I mean, honestly, for me, I actually can watch stuff like this for so long. I mean, I've actually watched an entire circumnavigation of the Earth, which took 90 minutes, which it usually does at that speed. So anyway, coming up reasonably close to Adelaide now. I don't know what all the bloody places are called down there. Port Hedland, is that what that's called? This area here, I know that's Kangaroo Island. That's actually an interesting place, that island. I'd like to possibly get a house there. All that just unexplored stuff. I'm sure that even the Aborigines haven't gone too far into all that, because it's just so uninviting and so sterile. Anyway, there's Adelaide about there-ish. It hasn't popped into view just yet. So this really hasn't taken very long at all, has it? Oh, there we go. There's Adelaide down there. It'd look quite different in reality. This is just a measure of how fast it would take to get from one side of Australia to the other, orbiting in the space shuttle, or indeed the International Space Station. In fact, I should have said the International Space Station, because the shuttle is now out of service. So Melbourne over here. We've gone over Adelaide. Now that's Perth to Adelaide in mere minutes. All these little salt swamps and little communities down there trying their best to make something out of it. Ah, the world is such a big place. The laws of physics, everything finds a way. You can see the trail of vegetation, which you can't really make out from up here, which is as a result of the floodplains here emptying out there every now and again. All right, so we're getting close to being into New South Wales at the moment. Brisbane over there. It really is quite a rapid transport, except you could never really get up to that speed and be ferried to Sydney in that time, because the acceleration would flatten you against the back of the spaceship to accelerate to that speed in this time, and also the deceleration would therefore flatten the front of you against the front of the vessel to stop and come down. You know, humans are limited by the fact that they can, on average, withstand about 3 G-forces. Pilots and astronauts and everything can go to about 7 because they're trained. But the average human will either have a red out or a grey out, which are the opposite ends of the spectrum, at about 4 Gs maybe. Anyway, so there we go. We're over Sydney. We're going over the Pacific, and that's crossing Australia in the space station or international or in the shuttle, whichever you like. And then it's a damn long trip across the Pacific, so we won't be doing that. Okay, that's it.